morning.
Good morning.
So, as you may see by what's on screen there, today it's all about gratitude, going beyond gratitude. So we're going to explore this a little bit more. I'm going to give you a full explanation a bit later. As we've lit the chalice, so a few words. Through good times and dark times, this light illuminates the way. And from this, we see our path and our journey. Do we give thanks and accept the way, or do we suffer for what might have been? So today we explore this theme.
Sorry, Malcolm's there. Is he with us?
Yeah, are you with us, Malcolm?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
I'm here.
It's good to have you here.
Thank you. I'm going to be here.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. So, so to start off, we'll just go straight into our first hymn, which is in the purple books, number 131, Out of the Depths I Call for You. So, all you avid readers, there's a book by Stephen King called The Beggar and the Diamond. So in it he retells a Hindu tale, and he changes this a little bit. So it's all about a beggar named Ranu, who is angry with his life, feeling miserable. And one day a massive diamond is placed in his path. But because of his anger and blindness to his own blessings, like his sight, he misses it. Instead, he finds a rough walking stick, far less glamorous, but something he uses for the rest of his days. The beggar is not just thankful for the obvious good, but in a twist, he ends up with something modest. It's a symbol of how life's lesser gifts, or even his misturns, can lead you on a meaningful path. The story invites a shift instead of lamenting what wasn't gained, the diamond, honour the gift you did receive and the journey it enables. So I imagine that he could have picked up that diamond and thought, that's just another rock, throws it away. And if you can't see what's in front of you, then you don't really know. But he still ended up with something that was useful. So reflecting on this a little bit more, we're all given things in life which I'm thinking mainly on my own story, and it seems good on the outset, but when in hindsight you look back and think, oh well, that didn't really work out that well. And so even if the beggar was to pick up this diamond and knew what it was, maybe he could have bought himself a good stick or everything he needed. And you might think, well, he could have had a happy life if he had that diamond. But over the past, I've looked at many rich people and seen how they not really happy. Wealth doesn't always give you the happiness you seek, because quite often we don't know what happiness actually is. We might dine at some fancy restaurant, but it has to be a lot better than the food that we have at home. So if you're rich, you have everything you want, going out could be a disappointment. So you see how that could work. So I had a good friend of mine, and his wife was blind. And she was always happy, or she seemed to be always happy. And she used to grab my arm and she'd march off at a pace without a stick, as long as she was holding my arm, and she'd walk me faster than I would normally walk. Quite confident in that I would take her where she needed to be without bumping into something, which I always wondered at. But if you're blind from birth, you trust in certain things. So I found that quite interesting. So next I'm going to play a short video from Tom Paramuter. I'm not sure whether I'm saying that right, but it's on the art of gratitude.
A few years ago, I was driving to Michigan for my best friend's wedding, when on the way I got a call from a fireman who said, "Do you live in 16A?" And I said, "No, I live in 26A. And he said, "Oh, okay, good. I thought your house burned down." And I was shocked but relieved. And then 5 or 10 minutes later, he calls back and says, "Did you say 26A? And I said, "Yes." And he said, "I'm sorry. I have really bad news. Doesn't look like your place made it." It was just such a roller coaster of emotions. I just started to have that panic moment where, my whole world shatters. And then I remembered, I'm not at home. My family wasn't at home. We might not have made it if we had been there. And I just was overcome with gratitude at the universe for saving me, saving my family, nobody was hurt in that fire. And that gratitude is so much more powerful than fear and anger and panic. Fear.
There we go. I've got this summary up here for some reason. So here's a guy who had something bad happen to him, and instead of thinking, oh my goodness, the house burned down, everything's gone, and being miserable about it, he looked at it and thought, well, actually, I'm thankful that just nobody got hurt. So he turned that around, And not everybody can actually do that. It takes a certain type of mindset to be able to do that. And I practice this now, but many years ago that wasn't the case, and it took some time to change that kind of idea. But I know a lot of people who, when something happens, they focus on the bad things. Oh, my life's miserable because something has just happened, and then this next thing has happened, and this other thing has happened, and they don't stop to realize that what are the good things that they're just missing here. They just bypass that. So I thought, I'll do a bit of research on what actually happens when you're always complaining, when you always see the negative side of life. So when you complain constantly, your body experiences chronic stress, leading to a host of negative physical and neurological changes. This habit can impair brain function, weaken the immune system, and increase the risk of serious health conditions. Brain rewiring. The brain has neuroplasticity, meaning it can reorganize itself based on repeated behaviors. The phrase neurons that fire together, wire together, applies here. Constantly complaining strengthens the neural pathways for negative thinking, making it easier to be negative in the future and harder to be positive. Complaining becomes your brain's default behavior. So the hippocampus shrinkage. Research suggests that frequent complaining or even listening to complaints for over 30 minutes can cause the hippocampus to shrink. This brain region is crucial for memory, problem solving, and intelligent thought. Damage to the hippocampus is also a primary area affected by Alzheimer's disease. Impaired problem solving. A negative mindset undermines the brain's ability to see the big picture and seek creative solutions. Negative bias. Your brain becomes more prone to focusing on threats and problems rather than positives, reinforcing a cycle of dissatisfaction. So the health risks. Complaining triggers the release of the stress hormone cortisol. This shifts your body into a fight or flight mode, redirecting essential resources away from non-immediate survival systems. So long-term physical effects of excess cortisol can include a weakened immune system. Chronic stress from complaining impairs your immune system, making you more susceptible to illness and infections. Cardiovascular issues. It can lead to increased blood pressure, high cholesterol, heart disease, and a higher risk of stroke. Metabolic problems. There's an increased risk of obesity and diabetes. Other symptoms. The physical symptoms of chronic stress also include headaches, muscle fatigue, gastrointestinal problems, insomnia, anxiety, and depression. So social and mental well-being. Contagious negativity, complaining, is like secondhand smoke. Spending time with people who constantly complain cannot cause similar negative neurological health effects in the listener through neural mirroring and emotional contagion. I know quite a few people who actually have gone through this, who hang about with people who are just negative all the time. I've seen it oftentimes where they too just take on that because it becomes, it's like an energy that they're just exuding, or it's just like a behaviour which you take on board. You learn from the environment, from what people say, what people do, and it becomes just a cesspool of negativeness, and they carry that through to. I've seen this in work. I've seen it in many different places. Another thing is strained relationships. Chronic complainers can drain those around them, pushing away friends, family, and co-workers. This can lead to isolation when support is needed most. Again, this is something I've witnessed myself through other people in such conditions. A cycle of pessimism. A habit creates a cycle of negativity, making it difficult to find satisfaction or break free from a victim mindset. by cultivating gratitude and practicing solution-oriented communication, you can mitigate these negative impacts and foster a more positive and healthy mindset. It sounds easy, but when you're in a habit of complaining all the time, then it's hard to have that switch that mindset around and see things positively. But when you're constantly living with, because you pass this on, when you're constantly living with other people who's mirroring that back to you, it just feeds that what's inside you. So the old saying of what you put out, you receive. So it's just one of these things I've observed over the years, and so when somebody says, "Oh, how are you doing?" my usual comeback is, "Oh, I'm perfect, thank you." And I go, "Oh, perfect." Perfect. And I started doing this on a few things, like I used to say I would never retire. I'd never be able to afford to retire. I'd be working until I die, and stuff like that. So always the negative I was given. So I decided to turn that around, and I'd actually get a date I'm going to retire on, which I did for all of 2 weeks. But then I did something more that I enjoyed, something more purposeful. But I had the idea that if I kept saying these things, I'm all right. I'm not too bad. It's not. It's like a negative. So I just turned that around. I'm perfect, thank you. It also comes a good topic of conversation after that. But, yeah. So that leads us into our next hymn, which is number 37, For the Fruits of All Creation. Getting under here. So the word grititude, which is not a typo, but it's not an actual word. It's a blend of two powerful forces, grit and gratitude. Grititude is the art of being thankful not just for the good things, but for the hard things too. For the storms, the failures, heartbreaks, the losses, because they are the sculptors of who we truly are. So when I was trying to think of this, the theme for today, I was actually at somebody's house, and so I described what I wanted to actually say today, and so I just want a good title for it, a good catchy title which becomes something that you're not sure of. So well, you've got to be thankful for all the really, I'll use the polite word, gritty things in life. And so he says, well, grititude. What on earth is grititude? But I think it's something that we should have in the English language. It really sums up something which is more than just a meaning. It's a whole kind of ethos of being thankful for all the really rubbish things that happen, for many reasons. So the limit of gratitude, we're often told to be grateful. Grateful for family, for friends, for opportunities, for sunshine and laughter. And that's beautiful. Gratitude is healing. What about the moments that break us? What about the nights when you cried yourself to sleep? What about the rejections that crushed your confidence, or the mistake that turned your world upside down? Gratitude often stops at the line where comfort ends. That's where gratitude begins. We all like our comforts, and it's easy to be grateful for that, and I suppose so we should be. But if we look back on the things that didn't go so well, then we wouldn't be the person who we are. And at the end of the day, we might not have liked where it took us. We just don't know. So there's no point in dwelling on it, really. So the shift from gratitude to grititude says, I'm thankful for the things that tested me because they grew me. I'm thankful for the pain because it woke me up. I'm thankful for the detours because they directed me where I was meant to go. When life doesn't go as planned, we often think something's gone wrong. But sometimes life is not punishing you, it's positioning you. The challenge we face are not roadblocks, they're road signs. That's how I like to think, anyway. Each one pointing us closer to awareness, to strength, and to purpose. Awareness on the journey. When you live with gratitude or grititude, every experience becomes a teacher. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what is this teaching me? See that mind shift again. The moment you do that, your awareness expands. You start seeing how every negative leads you closer to your truth, to the path your soul has been guiding you to all along. Life stops being something that happens to you and becomes something that happens for you. This is part of my philosophy of recent years anyway. So when something happens, I'm not thinking, oh no, and just automatically seeing a negative. Of course, it's not nice, it's not comfortable, things happen, which I will go into in a sec, a few examples. But, I change that attitude around and think, well, what's that teaching me? What is that showing me? Because sometimes life is trying to show you something. And it's only after or later on that you look back and think, you have that idea of, oh yeah, that's right, that's what it was. At the time, it's when you're deep in the misery of whatever it is, it can be a little bit harder to know that or to see that. Like my recent trip to China, I caught my leg on the central console of a taxi, and it was a dirty taxi, but I didn't think much of it. And then the next day I saw that my leg was bleeding, so I put plaster on it for the next couple of days. Again, not thinking much of it, because it was only a small scratch. And then I saw, the bruising and everything, and the swelling, which was radiating it out from the plasters I put on. I thought, okay, I better get this seen to. But in the process, went about our daily business, and we wanted to cut through this pack one day, and so the couple of people I was with are a lot taller, and they managed to almost stride over this gate, and I, being a lot shorter, I jumped. In the process, I caught my knee on the top of the gate, and so I've got this great big bruise on my knee. So now I've got a swelling and this infection on my shin. I've got a big bruise on my knee. So anyway, we went to another area, China, and I'm trying to negotiate my way in the bedroom, in the apartment. I'm trying to switch off all the lights so I could go to bed. And I switched off most of the lights, and I'm looking for this one light switch, this tiny little light that was left. I was looking for this light switch, and bang, I went into a chair. And that was just above my swelling and everything, in between my bruise and my infection that I had. And so, there was waves of pain going through my leg. And so I couldn't tell what was actually creating that pain anymore. I thought, well, is it the infection? Is it, is it the knock? Or is it, what is it? I'll have to go to the hospital and try and get this looked at. So, again, so in the night, I got bitten by a mozzie on the same leg. I thought, could I be in any more discomfort right now? And I still had to walk around and do things I needed to do. So I was speaking to a friend of mine, and she goes, well, that's a lot of messages on one leg. Have you ever thought about it? It could be a message about something. I'm like, well, never really thought about it that way. And she goes, well, the left is the feminine side. It's the nurturing side. Maybe it's trying to tell you that you need to do a bit of nurturing of yourself. I thought, well, it might not be wrong, So it's a bit of a hard lesson to learn to get that message. But time will tell with that one. That's a relatively recent one. But many years ago, I suffered from flu, and it was more than just man flu. It was the proper thing, and it made me wonder how people who get flu sometimes especially in days gone by, they pass away because of something that people didn't understand so much years gone by. But I thought I can really appreciate how that could happen, because I was feeling absolutely terrible and miserable. I don't know, 2 or 3 days went by, and I just couldn't focus. And I must have been mourning quite a lot, because Teresa, my wife, she said, look, drink that. So it was a hot toddy. I could tell she put quite a lot of whiskey in it. So okay. Very lemony, very whiskey tasting. Didn't realise that she put a lemon sip in it as well. So it was a good recipe for knocking me out. A day and a half later, I came around. The good thing is, it stopped me from mourning. She got some rest, and I got a good rest. I got a good sleep, and I woke up. It was still dark. It was dark when I went to sleep, and it was dark when I got up. And I wondered how many hours had gone by. I didn't realise it had been so long. But I had got a good rest, and that's what my body needed. So I'm the sort of person that will not sit still, and I'll keep moving even when I'm ill. So I just needed that. It seemed like an awful thing, and I kept asking myself, why have I got this flu? What is this trying to teach me? Again, I never really found the true lesson in that, but the body goes through these things. It gets, at times good, times are bad. It gets illnesses and stuff like this, but it wasn't the automatic reaction to think, oh no, why am I suffering so much with this? I turned it around and thought, well, what is this trying to teach me? Again, it changes that idea, that mindset that, it's not a negative all the time. And like I just described with this research, negativity can lead you into a downward spiral. So it stopped me from doing that. So, one of the other things that you can do to stop yourself from complaining all the time, or from getting some recuperation, is journaling. So if you are suffering from this anxiety in the same way you're complaining all the time, stress and anxiety, quite often you're told to make a journal, and you can analyze things a little bit, and what's deep inside comes to the surface. So my wife bought me one of these round things that you see on the screen there, and so I'd never bullet journaled ever before, and I thought, what is this? How do I use it? I had to do some research, and I didn't want to waste it. I got given it, so I thought, right, I'm going to have to. So it took me 2 or 3 months to research this, to figure out what. I've written diaries, but I never really keep that up, so I don't do diaries that much. So I thought, well, I better do this bullet journaling and show that I'm actually using something I got given. And you can see by the lower picture, you can create a nice, pretty picture, and you colour it in. So I started journaling, and I found that I didn't normally have the time to do that, but I found when I stopped, I started colouring it in and spending my time, and I did certain, track certain things like habits, food, because I tried to have good meals instead of bad meals. So I did it on the traffic light system. So green for being healthy, amber for about expectation, and red was something I was totally indulgent. So I could tell at a glance whether I was being good or not. So journaling was a good way of having a way of seeing how I was leading my life in many ways. And one of these things was a gratitude journal. So I would have, each day I would write in there what I was grateful for. Now this might have been at the beginning of the day, so I would think of things like, the sunlight might be coming through the window, or something, very small, but be grateful for it. A cup of coffee. Or I might do it at the end of the day. So I might look back through the day and think, what was I grateful for? What was in that day was I grateful for? Quick, if you can see that. So I would colour, that's from January last year. So I would colour it in, and I would write something, and I would spend time. And so my thoughts again was on something positive, something I was grateful for, no matter what it was. Again, turning all type of things into something that I was grateful for, and it does make a difference. That little bit of reflection starts to change your mindset, and it's a journey of slowly changing your mindset into something positive. So this journaling was a good idea for me, and something that I continue to do to this day. So I have a few years of bullet journals now, where I can go back and look through, and some of it is interesting reading, because I write a quote of the day, so I create a quote. So that's another thing I can reflect on, and something I can read and have some positive kind of mindset from that. So what has that done for me? Over these years of trying to change my mindset, I now come to events or things that happen, and I don't really label it whether it's good or bad anymore. I just think, well, this is just something that's happening. And once we get to the other side of this, I probably have a clearer understanding of, why that's there, what it's trying to teach me in some cases. And that's, again, that's my philosophy, that life is always working for my benefit. What I give out, what my thoughts are, I receive or I retain. So I like to think if I keep giving good and positive thoughts, this life will start giving me good and positive opportunities. And I can say over this last few years, there's been many opportunities that have led into, sprouted into good things, and this is, when I'm looking back, I can think, oh, all these opportunities that I'm able to take advantage of is leading me into a better place to where I want to be. It works for me. That's my thought process, and that's what I see in life. And a lot of people may say it's coincidence. I like to think there's no such thing as coincidence, or it seems to work for me. And like things are coming to me because of the way my mind is working, instead of being negative and positive. And because I'm positive, opportunities for positive things keep happening. I could go on and give you lots and lots of examples of that, but needless to say, this is what happens for me. And other people have been in the same situation who also can say the same thing. So I'm not saying being positive is going to resolve all your issues in life, but I'm just saying what works for me and what happens in my life, and this is why being grateful, but not just for the good things, not just for the things that give you comfort, but for the things that give you a little bit of pain, because sometimes they are guiding you or pushing you onto a path where you probably need to be, or which will in the end work better for you than if you'd gone down the other path. If you think about it that way, you're never going to regret these things, because you think, okay, I needed to go down this path, so thank goodness that it happened. It's just be positive. And you look back on life and you can think, well, these are just the things that happened. They're not good or bad, they just led me into this path, and I can now be grateful for all that. So with that, we're going to our last hymn, which is number 43, Gather the Spirit. So today I invite you to go beyond gratitude. Be thankful not just for the light, but for the darkness that made you seek it. Be thankful not just for the winds, but for the wounds that taught you how to heal. Be thankful not just for what's easy, but for what's real. That's gratitude, the fierce, unshakable thankfulness that turns every hardship into growth, every loss into a lesson, and every ending into a new beginning. May we all learn to live not just with gratitude, but with gratitude, because it's through both the joy and the struggle that we become fully, deeply, beautifully alive.